I'm Katie Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. Today, I have the absolute honor of sitting down with the incredible Martha Beck, Harvard-trained sociologist, best-selling author, and one of the most well-respected life coaches in the world. If you've ever felt trapped in anxiety or like your stress is getting worse no matter what you do, then this episode is for you. Martha's latest book, Beyond Anxiety, Curiosity, Creativity, and Finding Your Life's Purpose, is a total game changer. In it, she breaks down why anxiety has become so overwhelming, how our modern world is actually fueling it, and most importantly, how we can break free. She also shares a fascinating idea, which we'll also be covering today, is that the same steps we take to calm anxiety naturally lead us straight to our life's purpose. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation. Martha's wisdom is truly next level. Let's dive in. If you've ever felt like your body is stuck in go, go, go mode, like even when you go sit down, your mind and your nervous system are still running marathons around you, this episode is going to feel like an exhale. Today, I'm joined by Michelle. She's a nervous system coach, somatic practitioner, and she's helped thousands of women and mothers break free from the grip of chronic stress. Amen to that. And actually feel safe and calm and at home in their bodies again. So she does profound work. Michelle, I'm so glad you're here and to have this conversation today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
So a little tradition on the Maximize Minimalist show is to kick off with a fun question. And that question is, if you could magically declutter one thing from your life forever, no effort required, what would that be?
I think it would be my car. I feel like that's a place where I tend to it's almost out of sight, out of mind. So when I'm going through my day to day, I don't really feel it or it's not in my face. But then when I get in my car, it's like the kid stuff and the car seats and the Cheerios and the water bottles and all the things everywhere. So to never have to worry about that again would be amazing.
Okay, I took that very literally, like you want to not ever have a car again. I was like, wow, she's going off grid, but you you're doing horse and buggy. Are we going that far back? What's happening? Okay, I totally hear you. And the listeners don't know this, but I was just on her show before we hit record. So now she's on mine, and we talked about clutter, expected mess. And I'm going to give you one crazy tip. All right. Okay. And this is so simple, but it's game changing. Listeners, listen up to. One thing I started doing once I learned that our environments influence our actions is I started putting a trash can. I put one right outside of our kids' doors because we drive a minivan. So they open the door, and because it's there and easy and accessible, and they see it every time they get in and out. It's not a fight. It's not like the clutter and the trash builds. They immediately, most days, automatically do it now. So again, environment influences actions. Seems really simple. It is simple, but it can really help.
I love that.
Since I can't magically declutter your car or its belongings for you, we'll start there.
Thank you for that. That's going to happen in about 10 minutes. After we end today, I'm going to go do that. Love it.
So we hear a lot about stress and burnout. I think a lot of us probably feel that way all day, every day. That's a reality. But I really want to talk to you about the nervous system piece, because there's this element, like our nervous system is dysregulated when we're in chronic stress and burnout. So what are some signs that someone is living in that, like that dysregulation, that burnout, even if they think they're managing it? And especially for those who can't necessarily change some of their circumstances, like they have to go to work, they have to take their kids to the doctor's appointments and do all these things. Yeah. What are some signs to look out for?
Okay, so some of the signs I think are things that we have just chalked up to being parts of our personality. So it's good to bring awareness to those. Some of the signs are things that we know are wrong, right? When you just kind of have that nagging feeling that like something's off, but I've run the labs and I've seen the doctors and I've done the tests and everything comes back normal. And I think other signs are things that society, culture actually endorses and rubber stamps and says, atta girl, and we're like, what's going on? So I'll tell you a little bit about how it kind of showed up for me. And then I'll talk through some of the mental, physical, and emotional symptoms that I see most often in the women that I work with. So for the better part of the last 15 years, I was a trial attorney in Miami. And I had 2 daughters back to back. This is a few years before the pandemic started. And for years, probably since like even middle school or high school, I had experienced chronic gut issues. Like I always had stomach pain. I would feel stressed and I couldn't eat. My parents would bring me to the doctor and there's nothing really wrong. All the allergy testing, nothing, but just like kind of gut issues that then bled into like skin issues and eczema and all these different things. I had chronic muscle tension and just aches and pains that couldn't be explained. So even I remember being in high school and like I played sports, but I had to go get like massaged because my neck and my shoulders and my back were so sore that I couldn't pitch, right? Or I couldn't, like it hurt playing basketball. And then there were a lot of, mental and emotional signs that I had been dealing with forever. I was just tired all the time, right? Like it was nothing a nap was really going to fix. I woke up tired. I went to bed tired. I wouldn't have described myself at the time as being high strung, but the wheels were always turning, right? It was like really hard for me to kind of like actually recharge and unplug and turn it off. I wouldn't have described myself as anxious at the time, but I think I was. I look back and like I had to know all of the things and I was Googling and I could go down the WebMD rabbit holes and we were planning something like a trip or I was going somewhere like I wanted to know everything and have it all mapped out. And those are all signs of a dysregulated nervous system, irritability, edginess, anxiety and depression for sure, low energy, being busy all the time, right? That's one of the ones that we really get rewarded for and there's a lot of payoff for. But if you find that you are, hyper productive, whatever that looks like for you, but you have a really hard time slowing down, that's a sign of a dysregulated nervous system. A lot of scarcity mindset things. If we look at the root, right, that's rooted in a body that's not feeling safe, time scarcity, money scarcity, things like all of those things. And then a lot of physical stuff that started to come through for me. So yeah, my gut issues. Yes. My skin issues. Yes. The aches and pains. Yes. I wasn't sleeping well, right? So if you're struggling to go to sleep or stay asleep, if you're waking up at 3 a.m. every morning, and having that rough morning time, I've been there and that's a sign too. And a lot of the autoimmune conditions that we see come through are really tied to the state of our nervous system. So chronic stress, when we start to learn how to regulate our nervous system, a lot of those symptoms will come to pass. So a lot of subtle symptoms, I think, a lot of some that, are really stark and can be in your face and have a huge impact. Those are the ones that I see most frequently.
One thing that came up for me as I was listening to you is I think we are taught, or whether it's directly or indirectly, that a lot of these things, because they're so common, they're normalized. But really, it's not normal to experience a lot of the things you talked about, but it's common. But because it's so common, we're like, well, I guess it's just my life now. And all my other friends deal with this too, right? And especially, I feel like the first people we tend to reach out to, and if we share those struggles, are like our best girlfriends or maybe family members. And they're like, yeah, right there with you. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, all right. When stress hits real time, let's just talk about like an acute example. Maybe it's like a toddler melting down or a really overwhelming work day. What is one simple, doable way that someone can re-regulate their nervous system? Because in the moment, we all know that feeling of just getting hijacked, right?
Yeah.
Like we feel it, the sweaty palms, the irritability, like the heat's coming off of us. So to down-regulate, or I guess re-regulate, I'm not sure what term you would use. Where do we start? Is there a strategy, a method? And what does that look like for someone who's kind of stuck in that chronic dysregulation? Is it the same strategy or is it something different?
Yeah. Okay. This is such a great question. So what we know about our nervous system is that there are 3 different circuits in our nervous system. So I like to think about it like you're driving a car, right? There's the gas pedal and then there's the brake. And when we talk about being regulated or dysregulated, to say that someone is regulated or a nervous system is regulated does not mean that we're calm all the time. So like if that's been something that you're chasing or after expecting of yourself, like just let that go, because that's actually not a very regulated nervous system. What we want to be able to do when we're regulated is like push the gas when we need to go, right? But then when we need to kind of pull back a little bit, to be able to push the brake and have both of them working in concert. We need a little energy, but then we need a little relaxation. We need a little boost, right? But then we also need to chill out a little bit. When we're dysregulated, we've been running for periods of time with like pedal to the metal, right? Where we're just like the gas is going and we're always activated. We wake up, we're like, oh, I'm already behind. I have so much to do today. And all day long, we're just go, go, go. Eventually that leads to burnout, right? We can't sustain that. And then on the other end, we can get into what's called a dorsal vagal collapse, where our body's like maxed out and we kind of shut down. And a lot of times those are the symptoms of burnout. We'll experience the exhaustion that doesn't get better with rest. We kind of withdraw. Being around others feels like a lot of work. So we tend to isolate. We get overwhelmed easily. We disconnect, right? So what you want to have is first an awareness when you're feeling off of like, okay, am I in my sympathetic nervous system? And am I feeling really, really activated? And I need a tool in the moment to down regulate and bring me back to baseline. Or am I in this kind of freeze response and I just like can't get off the couch? I've been scrolling Instagram for 45 minutes and I can't go put the clothes in the laundry. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I actually need to upregulate in order to get back to baseline. So knowing kind of where you're at and then what your body needs is step number one. And then, having tools in your back pocket, somatic body-based tools to help your nervous system shift states. And the awesome thing, especially for us women and moms, is that these tools will help your nervous system shift in like 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Like, it's actually quite efficient. Yeah. Our nervous system wants to be at equilibrium, right? Like, we want to be in a place where we feel safe. We just need to communicate that to our body. Okay. So let me give one more little caveat and then I'll give you guys a couple practical handles. The first thing, or I guess the second thing to understand also about our nervous system is that it does not speak of verbal language. So we cannot just tell ourselves to chill out or tell ourselves to calm down or tell ourselves that it's not a big deal, right? We've tried that. Or maybe like our partners have tried that. Like my husband's like, dude, it's not a big deal. Chill out. I'm like, no, I'm more mad. You 100%. Did not just, it doesn't work for ourselves either. And the same is true on the other side, right? When we know we have stuff to do, but we're just feeling so like, I just can't today, trying to talk ourselves into it isn't particularly effective. And so we have to communicate with our body in a way that it actually understands. We're always trying to cue safety, and our body understands safety through not words, but movement, sound, touch, temperature changes, breath. So we want to have those types of tools to communicate safety of our body to help us shift states. So let's say you are feeling really activated. Like for me, the morning time, trying to get everyone out of the house, do all the things, like that can be a time where if, we're running a little bit late and the kids aren't putting their shoes on as fast as I want them to. And the things like, I just feel myself getting amped up, right? There's an activation of my sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight response. I need a down regulating tool. So it might look like a really simple breath. My favorite one's called the physiological sigh. And that will regulate your nervous system in like 2 to 3 breaths. I usually notice it, but I'll explain it for you guys. We can do it together once. But the way it works is you breathe in through your nose until it feels like your lungs are at max capacity. And when you get to the top of that breath, one more quick inhale through your nose and then out through your mouth. Purse lips like you're breathing through a straw. Long, slow, extended exhale. So if you want to try it with me now, you can breathe in through your nose. When you get to the top, another quick one, and then let it out through your mouth. Like you're blowing through a straw, slow. Let your shoulders just kind of drop. Just notice what that did to your body. A few of those, right? In a meeting, driving, mid-conversation with somebody can help you down regulate. Temperature changes are great. Movement is great. So one of my other favorites when I'm feeling anxious or nervous, or if I'm about to like public speak or something, I use this a lot in my law practice. If I had trial or I was going to be in front of a judge, like I would go in the bathroom and shake. And it sounds exactly like what it is, literally just shaking out your arms and your legs, right? If you're home, like put on a song. This works wonders with our kids. Get them to wiggle, get them to move, right? Our animals do that, right? You think of like your dog, if it sees something, what does it do after? It gets all excited and then like, shakes everything off. we're wired to do the same thing. It discharges that stress and then allows our body to feel safe enough to return to baseline stress level. And just movement in general, lifting weights, going for a walk. When you think of being in fight or flight, even those words, I mean, when you're in fight or flight, every cell of your being is primed for movement. So a lot of times when we're feeling activated, we're taught like, calm down, right? Try and meditate, sit down and take a breath. And it's like, no, my body wants to move, right? So like, let it move and then breathe and then meditate and then slow down. And you'll notice a big shift. And then if you're feeling on the other end, if you're feeling really low energy, disconnected, you really want to get out of your head and into your body. So maybe that looks like orienting yourself, right? Using your 5 senses and just looking around. What are 5 things I can see? What are 4 things I can hear? What are 3 things I can touch, right? Bringing your awareness back to your body, bringing safety back to your body. Temperature is really good for upregulating, cold especially. So like even eating something cold, drinking something cold, grab a bag of frozen vegetables out of your freezer, put it on the back of your neck. That'll activate your vagus nerve. That helps bring sense of calmness to your body, will help you regulate. And then you can get to the things that you have to do. There's so many more, but those are some of my favorites.
These are incredible. I'm thinking of all the ways, not only how I can implement more of these, but like teach my kiddos these things. One thing I always tell my kids, like if they're upset, like, all right, let's just breathe. Cause like we, and I'm like, let's just focus on your breath. Right. And then we'll talk about it later, just coming back down. But to have that very tangible, like, what did you call it? Like you did the deep breath and then the last little one and then the pursing your lips. Like you didn't even have to tell me to lower my shoulders. I did it naturally through that. Like I felt, and it's not that I feel stressed now, but it felt very good to me. So just like that very specific detail. And then like, I kind of had to laugh inside about the cold because my husband years ago got a cold barrel, an ice barrel.
Yep.
And I'm so resistant to it still. But I'm like, why don't I just, so I'm like, I just take cold showers and then toggle it hot and cold because I'm a baby.
Yeah,
but the cold pack, like snapping ourselves out of it and the body practice and all of these things you said literally take seconds to 90 seconds. But I think doing that when we're in nervous system regulation, correct me if I'm wrong, then we're able to go, okay, like, what do I want to do? What do I need to do? Like, it's like our brain kind of comes back online a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So when we're in what we would call a dysregulated state, right? If we're in the sympathetic where our nervous system is really activated and we're in fight or flight, feeling really anxious or irritated or angry, or the other end where we've just kind of collapsed and shut down. When we're in a stress response like that, our prefrontal cortex, so the part of our brain that like can speak nicely to others and access our highest levels of language, our ability to organize, our ability to reason and logic and all of these things that we need is literally offline. We have no access to it. Our body and our brain are just prioritizing survival, right? Get away, fight, like do whatever you have to do. So when we can quickly, like if we're feeling overwhelmed, okay, I'm going to do one of these practices. I'm going to get back to a place where I have my prefrontal cortex back online. Okay, now I can plan my day and it doesn't feel so frantic, right? Now I can clean off my counters and I'm not just wanting to like smash everything to the ground that I pick up, or like whatever it is. We just have access to the parts of us that allow us to move through our day how we want to show up.
Talk to me about the woman who, there's so much pressure culturally, as you mentioned, through being productive, getting so much to do, getting more and more off our to-do list only so we can add more and more. And there's a certain element I feel, and I've had to go through personally, that even as we create margin and space through decluttering and simplifying our lives, that gap can often, it's very tempting to fill it with more stuff.
Sure.
And I think not only because the mindset piece of it, like, and the conditioning, but it's like our nervous system doesn't feel safe and quiet or slow. So talk to me about someone who might be experiencing that, because I think that's a really uncomfortable place to be when it's like, isn't this what I wanted, to be able to slow down intentionally and regulate my nervous system, but it feels like I need to do something or, right. And I think part of that is how we were raised or maybe our beliefs, but I feel like it's almost like this physiological uncomfortableness. That's how I used to feel. I used to feel deeply uncomfortable sitting for 2 minutes because I was like, I'm not being productive.
Yes. Okay. I think there's so many layers to this. The first thing that comes to me, and this is something that I've had to adjust myself a mindset over the last 5 years, probably in particular, is that I realized that, as a super like hustler, type A, productive, all the things, right? that I sat down and got really honest with myself and realized that I don't actually want to be productive. Like, I don't actually want to get to the end of the day and be like, I got so much done today. I think I do, but I actually don't. What I want is to end the day feeling fulfilled. And that is such a different approach to how I plan my day and go about my day, right? Taking my kids to the park in the afternoon instead of, whatever else needs to be done can be so fulfilling. So if that's my goal at the end of the day, I may not have thought of that as productive or whatever else it is, right? Going for a walk or taking a bath or what have you. But just that little shift of like, I'm not chasing productivity, I'm chasing fulfillment. Is this right? Bringing me more closer to or further from how I want to feel at the end of the day, fulfilled. That helped to kind of reset me in some ways. The second thing is, I think, educating yourself about how much your brain needs downtime and rest. I didn't understand that, right? And I'm trying to optimize all these other areas of my life. I'm optimizing my schedule, optimizing my supplements, optimizing my workout. I'm like, but I'm not optimizing stillness. My brain will reorganize and prioritize and create when I give it moments of stillness. Like, it literally craves and needs that in order to function properly. And we're stuck in this society of just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? No downtime. And it severely impedes our ability to create and problem solve and innovate and ideate and just like think clearly and have access to all the different parts of us. So once I understood that too, I'm like, oh, there's actually more value in this. It's not just like, oh, it'd be nice to relax. It's like, no, this is a huge part of being, holistically well. And then the last thing I'll say with this, because I was there, lean into the discomfort. Can it be okay that it's uncomfortable? You don't have to do it for 20 minutes. Can you sit for 1 minute and just listen to calming music and then get on with your day, right? Can you go for a walk and leave your earbuds and your phone at home? Can you sit in the pickup line without a podcast playing, right? Can you fold the laundry without listening to a show in the background? Like, are there little ways that you can just start to incorporate some stillness and just watching your pace, right? Like, I used to eat breakfast standing up, and it was this whole thing. Like, I will eat every meal sitting down now because I'm having to train myself that we don't have to rush through the days. So just like a lot of the work I know you do and teach, it's getting the reps in, right? It's so uncomfortable at first, but start small, stay consistent, lean into the discomfort. Can that be okay? And it'll get easier. Then you can do, 5 minutes and then 15 minutes and watch. Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a correlation between rushing or hurrying.
Mm-hmm.
And does that like send signals to our brain that we're unsafe?
100%.
So even though, speak to that.
So through, evolution, our bodies, our minds have evolved in so many amazing, beautiful ways. And there are some ways that they're still so, I think, maladapted to just like day-to-day life. And one of those is that our brain does a really poor job at differentiating between real and perceived stressors, right? So our brain is like, we're in a hurry. And then automatically it's like something bad has happened. We're being chased by a lion, a tiger, or a bear. If we don't get our kids to safety and move, like something really bad is going to happen. But it's actually just like, I need to get there before drop off ends this morning because I don't want to pay the $25 late fee or whatever it is. Right? It's an email from our boss. It's a text from, it's like, it's not a physical threat to our body, but our body just internalizes it as a stress and it doesn't differentiate between good stress and bad stress. So yes, being caught in that rush, being caught in the busyness, being caught in the feeling that we've got to keep going or we're already running behind or everything being urgent, that's your dysregulation talking. And that is definitely that pace is sending signals to our brain that we've got to keep going. We've got to get away. If we slow down, it's not safe.
What's one takeaway or one starting point for my listeners hearing you today who maybe they're like, okay, I need to downshift my nervous system, or maybe there are those people who are just stuck on the couch feeling shame and they're like, okay, I need to upshift.
Yeah.
What would you want to leave them with?
I think the best place to start is always with awareness, right? We can't intervene in a world we can't see. We can't do anything about something that we don't know is happening. Can you grow in your somatic awareness? What does that mean? Can I grow in the awareness of the sensations of my body and how my body is communicating with me? Because our body is always communicating with us. We just don't know how to listen, or we're too busy, right? Or we've got too much going on. So this can look, this doesn't have to be like a 20-minute meditation kind of thing, but like in the car, right? Even when you're brushing your teeth, if you have a morning routine that involves some sort of like stillness or reflection or journaling, can you just do a body scan, right? Start at the top of your head, work your awareness all the way down. Wow, I am holding so much tension in my eyebrows and my forehead. Let me just soften that. Wow, maybe even as you're listening right now, right? My tongue is pressed to the top of my mouth and my jaw is so tight, right? I wake up every morning, my jaw is so tight. Yeah, release it, right? My neck, my shoulders. Sometimes I know that that's the first somatic cue for me when I'm starting to get activated. My shoulders come up, everything gets tight, right? Drop them. What's my posture like? What is my breathing like, right? Am I breathing these shallow, quick breaths, which again is what happens when I run or fight. So that signals a lack of safety. Can I lengthen my exhale in particular? What's going on in my gut, right? Is there a pit in my stomach? Am I holding tension there? My hips, are my legs jittery or do they feel heavy? And just top to bottom. One, you're growing in awareness, which is so powerful because you can do something then. Second, just that act. Like when we were kids, we were taught we have 5 senses. We actually have more than 5 senses. And one of our senses is called interoception. And it's literally just noticing the sensations of our body and just paying attention in and of itself, listening to the message our body is sending, that regulates because it tells our body, like, you're sending the alarm. I hear you. I'm not suppressing. I'm not ignoring. I'm not moving too fast. Right? Soft is safe. I always say that to my people. Soft is safe, right? So soften the jaw, soften your shoulders, soften. Soft is safe. And you'll notice it won't take very long before there's a shift that you feel in your day to day.
Even just listening to you talk about it, I'm like, oh, I got this. I can do this.
Yeah.
I feel hopeful. And
Good.
and like you said, it's fitting these moments into average daily life, no matter how busy we are.
Yeah.
So Michelle, you've got an amazing podcast. And for someone who's listening who would like to do a deeper dive or follow along for more resources, can you share where they can do that?
For sure. Yeah. Thank you. My podcast is called The Calm Mom. So you can come hang out and find me there. That's probably the best place to connect. I have a nervous system reset guide. If you just, my name, michellegrosser.com/reset. A little bit of information there, more about the nervous system, but then also more somatic practices. So I have like some guided breath work in there, some links for that. So that's a really great place to start also. And then I'm on Instagram at It's Michelle Grosser.
Yeah, so good. Well, Michelle, I have a feeling we're going to continue to connect and hopefully you'll come back on the show for part 2. I really enjoyed talking with you today. And I know my listeners are really going to gain so much from this conversation. And I can't let you go without one final question, another signature question around here. And that is, what is one thing in your home you would never let go of and why?
Ooh, I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily a thing, but it's a place. I had it we just moved this summer. So I had it in my home that we had in Miami, and now I have it here in my home in Houston. And it's my favorite corner of my couch in the morning. And that is just my little sacred place. And I leave the book that I'm reading there and my journal. And I always, bring my cup of coffee in the morning, and I have a candle that I light there before the day starts and my kids wake up and everyone needs all the things and all of that. Not a thing, but just a place that is of such value to me. And I'm so grateful for it. Yeah.
I could feel and see that on your face when you shared it. And I think it goes to show too, it doesn't have to be a whole room, because I know some people are going, well, my living room's too cluttered. It's a disaster. I can't do that. But I mean, not that yours is, but just creating one little safe space, a little Zen zone where you can take a deep breath, where you can add in that ritual or relating to the nervous system regulation you talked about earlier. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a gigantic overhaul, but it's just one calming space. You can drink your coffee and tee yourself up for a happier, more fulfilling day. I think is very profound. So I love that answer. I love it. Michelle, thanks so much for being on the show today. And thanks for sharing your wisdom with us.
Oh, you are such a joy. It was so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Michelle.